Hey everyone, welcome back. So today, we're doing a complete pre-flight briefing. We're breaking down the exact mechanics and, honestly, the required mindset of Caroline Girvan's Day 1 Bodyweight Leg Workout. By the end of this explainer, you're going to know the specific flow, the equipment, and the exact physical cues you need to absolutely conquer this session. The goal is to make sure you know exactly what to expect the second you hit play. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our flight plan for today. First up, setup and essential equipment. 2, unpacking the tricep structure. 3, form, depth, and tension. And finally, number 4, the power of the pause.
All right, section 1, setup and essential equipment. Let's get our gear sorted out for this purely bodyweight resistance session.
40 minutes. Yep, that is your total time commitment today. Actually, it's just under 40 minutes long. This entire solid leg day workout is incredibly efficient. Every single minute is structured to maximize muscle tension without wasting a single second of your day. Because it is so quick and efficient, the gear list is super minimal and highly accessible. First and foremost, you need a really well-warmed-up body, because that is literally your primary tool here. Beyond that, you just need a sturdy chair for your Bulgarian lunges. And hey, maybe find one that won't slide away from you, because we all know how notoriously brutal those are going to be. You'll also need a yoga block or just a really thick book to elevate your feet and create some extra depth. And finally, your standard mat. That's the whole shebang. And here is exactly what that minimal setup is going to target. This is a totally comprehensive lower body sweep. We're hitting the quads, the hamstrings, the glutes, and the caps. All 4 of those main muscle groups are on the menu today, ensuring you know exactly what parts of the leg will be firing to give you a fully rounded leg day, using absolutely nothing but your own body weight. Moving on to section 2, unpacking the tricep structure. Let's break down the flow so you actually understand the math happening behind the timer. Now, Caroline uses some specific terminology here. A tri-set, in the context of this routine, means a workout structure made up of 3 consecutive blocks of active work stitched together, followed finally by a rest period. I want to make sure you have this super clear in your head so you aren't completely thrown off by the terminology when that timer actually starts ticking. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how that plays out on the clock. Picture this. You've got a 45-second work interval, rolling immediately into another 45-second work interval, and then, yep, a third 45 seconds of work. Only after that brutal consecutive sequence do you finally earn your 30 seconds of rest. 45, 45, 45, rest. That is the rhythmic loop you're going to be living in. Now let's zoom out and look at the total volume. You'll be completing 8 total trisets today. Each triset is performed for 2 rounds. But here's the absolute kicker. The single side work occurs entirely on one side for the whole tricep. You're going to completely isolate and fatigue one side of your body, and then obviously you switch to the opposite side for the next tricep. It's a highly focused, highly intense structure. Which brings us to section 3, form, depth, and tension. Welcome to the physical execution phase. Remember, with purely bodyweight exercises, the actual intensity level is entirely up to you. And this is the fundamental choice you have to make today. Since you aren't lugging around heavy dumbbells, you could so easily just take the easy way out. Cheating looks like this: getting less depth, letting the tension drop at the top or bottom of a movement, basically just going through the motions. But challenging yourself, that means maximizing your range of motion, actively holding the tension in the muscle, and going as deep as you physically can on every single rep. To make sure you're taking that challenging route, let's rapid fire through Caroline's specific mechanical cues. For your Bulgarian lunges, ease into that max depth. Seriously, don't rush it. When you hit the Romanian deadlifts, physically push your hips back and up. You should feel a massive stretch in your hamstrings with every rep. And when you grab that yoga block or book for your lunges, use it to drop your knee just that little bit further down than a regular lunge. Chase that extra depth. So the crucial point is all about tension, which brings us to this really surprising cue for your squat holds. Normally, the instinct is to drop all the way down into a deep resting squat, right? Don't do it. Caroline specifically notes you shouldn't go all the way down. Instead, hold it about halfway up. You want to hover exactly at the point where you feel the absolute most tension screaming in your quads. That's where the magic happens. All right, section 4, the power of the pause. Let's shift gears for a second and talk about the mental game of dealing with fatigue during this 40-minute session. Because when you're holding halfway up in a squat, or you're deep in a Bulgarian lunge for basically 2 straight minutes of active work, fatigue is inevitable. But Caroline puts it perfectly regarding this week's workouts. She says, if I have to pause, that's good.
It means I'm actually really pushing it and focusing on my form, getting the biggest range of motion possible. Please do not feel like you should be pausing. It is definitely not a failure.
Now, what's really interesting about this breakdown is that taking a break isn't failing. It's actually a strategic, positive tool. Think of it as the anatomy of a good pause. Step 1, you push until your form starts to break. Step 2, you take a beat to reset yourself. Step 3, you re-engage to get that maximum range of motion right back. Taking a brief pause to maintain your depth is vastly superior to just continuing the movement with terrible, shallow form.
Which leaves us with this final driving question. You're fully armed with the knowledge of the 40-minute structure, the brutal tri-set timing, and the specific cues for depth and tension. The only thing left now is your mindset. So are you ready to prioritize your form over your ego today? Think of that pause as a positive thing. Chase the tension and go get that solid bodyweight workout done.